If you believe the 401k match from your employer is free money, you're already missing the real story. It looks like the ultimate no-brainer extra cash drops straight into your retirement account simply because you kick in a few percent of your own paycheck. Most people sign up on day one, pat themselves on the back, and never look back. They treat it like found money, like winning a small lottery every pay period. And once you see the full chain reaction, you can't unsee it. Picture the moment it all starts. You're fresh out of school or switching jobs, staring at that offer letter glowing on your screen. HR slides the paperwork across the table and says the magic words. We match up to 6% dollar for dollar. Your pulse quickens. Colleagues high-five you in the Slack channel. LinkedIn lights up with posts about stacking that free money. You log into the portal, check the box, and watch your first contribution hit. The account balance jumps instantly. It feels electric, like someone just handed you a raise you didn't have to negotiate. Even the so-called experts on morning finance shows are nodding along, repeating the same line everyone hears at orientation, which usually means nobody was really digging into the fine print. The official explanation was simple. Employers told you they were matching your contributions because they genuinely wanted to help you build a secure retirement. It was marketed as a win-win. You save more for the future, they get to show they care about their people, and everyone walks away happier. They said it happened because smart companies invest in their workforce this way. Tax advantages for them, tax-deferred growth for you. Sounds clean, generous, almost noble. That story sounds neat, but it leaves out something critical. And that's where the math stops adding up. Because one detail never made the headlines. Here's the uncomfortable truth they don't put in the orientation packet. That match isn't a gift. It's a calculated loyalty program with invisible strings designed to keep you locked in longer, cost you more in the long run, and quietly transfer value away from your future self. The first string is vesting. Most plans don't hand over that free money right away. You might face a 3-year cliff 0 until the exact day you hit year 3, or a 6-year graded schedule where you earn it in 20% slices. Leave even one day early and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, vanish back to the company. Pause for a second. Have you ever checked your plan's vesting schedule? Pull up your summary plan description right now if you can, I'll wait. Knowing that number changes how you plan your next career move. It gets worse. Even if you stay long enough to vest, the plan itself is often loaded with fees the average person never notices until it's too late. Administrative costs, record-keeping charges, fund expense ratios, many 401k plans quietly bleed you at 0.75 to over 2% per year. That doesn't sound like much until you realize it compounds against your match for decades. Meanwhile, the same money sitting in a low-cost IRA or brokerage account could be growing faster because those fees are often a fraction of that. Quick reality check. If you're in a plan charging 1% more than necessary, that single percentage point can easily cost you 6 figures by retirement. Drop your plan's expense ratio in the comments below. What are you actually paying? Let's see how many people are getting quietly robbed. And the deepest cut? Companies that offer big matches have quietly adjusted base salaries downward to offset the cost. Research shows employees at matching companies often earn roughly the same total compensation as those without, except part of yours is now locked away, taxed later, and subject to rules you didn't write. You're essentially paying for your own free money with lower take-home pay and reduced negotiating power. It wasn't chaos. It was pressure building quietly for years. It was like flooring the gas pedal on your retirement while pretending the brakes, vesting cliffs, hidden fees, salary trade-offs were perfectly fine. But this is still the small part of the story, because the real damage hadn't even started yet. Now watch how one innocent decision triggers the entire cascade. You start contributing to capture the match, feeling smart. Optimism floods and your balance grows, statements look healthy, retirement seems guaranteed. Then the first warning signs appear. You switch jobs after 2 years for a better opportunity. Suddenly, the uninvested portion of your match, maybe $8,000 or $12,000, disappears. You tell yourself it's no big deal, you'll make it up later. Warnings turn to denial. You stay at the next company longer because leaving would forfeit another chunk. The fees keep ticking. 0.75% here, 1.2% there, silently shaving off what should be your compound growth. Year after year, the statements arrive, and the numbers look okay on the surface. but you never stop to compare what the same dollars would have done in a self-directed account with rock-bottom costs. The denial deepens. You convince yourself the match makes up for everything. Then the collapse begins. The money you thought was doubling is actually growing slower than it should. When you finally run the numbers yourself, you discover that 1% in extra fees over 30 years on a combined $10,000 annual contribution, your part plus the match can cost you more than $150,000 in lost growth. That's not theory, that's math. 1% quietly turns a potential $944,000 nest egg into $790,000. And if you job hopped and left $24,000 in unvested matches behind across a decade of career moves, that alone compounds into another $180,000 plus gone by retirement age. If those numbers just hit you in the gut, hit that like button so I know this is landing, because most people never do this math until it's too late. Some people still call this a benefit. Others call it something closer to theft by design, slow, legal, and wrapped in friendly HR language. The cascade doesn't stop at your account. It ripples into your life. You stay in jobs you've outgrown because the unvested match feels like golden handcuffs. Your salary negotiations weaken because part of your compensation is now tied to staying put. The optimism that once fueled your career turns into quiet resentment every time you see a better offer and realize the true cost of walking away. The moment it broke is the day the illusion finally cracked. Maybe it was the quarterly statement that showed your matched dollars had underperformed the market by a full percentage point for years running. Or the day you accepted a dream job and watched $15,000 of unvested money evaporate overnight. Liquidity vanished not because the markets crashed, but because the rules you never fully read locked everything down. Trust evaporated the second you realized the company that gave you the match had already deducted its own fees and protected its own interests first. If money had a heartbeat, this is where it flatlined quietly in the background while you were busy living your life. And here's why this still affects you. This decision didn't end back then. It followed you home into every paycheck you'll ever collect and every retirement year you hope to enjoy. The long shadow stretches across decades. First, your wages never recovered the ground they lost when companies started substituting matches for real raises. That lower base salary compounds too less money for down payments, less for emergencies, less overall lifetime earnings. Housing becomes harder because your effective savings rate is inflated by money you can't touch without penalties. Inflation quietly eats the real value faster because the plan's limited investment choices often lag true market opportunities. Debt piles up in ways it shouldn't. People max out credit cards or delay paying off student loans because they're told to get the free match first, even when high interest debt at 18% dwarfs the long-term benefit after fees, vesting risk. Job security suffers because you're psychologically tethered to employers who know exactly how much power that unvested balance gives them. When layoffs come, you're not just losing a paycheck, you're potentially losing thousands more in retirement money you already earned. You didn't vote on this system. You didn't approve the fee structures or the vesting schedules or the salary offsets. But you're still paying for it every single month in smaller raises, higher effective costs, and a retirement date that keeps sliding further away. Multiply that across millions of workers, and you see entire generations arriving at age 65 with far less than they were promised, wondering why the free money never delivered the freedom it advertised. The shadow doesn't fade. It grows every time another young professional signs the paperwork without reading the fine print. If you're nodding along right now, subscribe and turn on notifications because the next videos break down exactly how to escape these traps without leaving money on the table. Financial systems don't fail suddenly, they fail quietly, then all at once. Money problems are rarely about money, they're about incentives. Every retirement trap tells the same story, just with different actors wearing different suits in different HR departments. And what happened next makes this story even more unsettling. Because once you understand how the match really works, you start noticing the same pattern everywhere. In pension shifts, in benefit packages, in the way companies quietly restructure compensation to look generous while protecting their bottom line. The next time you open an offer letter, you'll see the match for what it is, not a gift, but a mirror reflecting back the true cost of your loyalty. So here's your move. Go check your vesting schedule today. Compare your plan fees to a low-cost index fund. Run your own numbers on what that free match is actually costing you long-term. And if this opened your eyes, drop a comment with one thing you're going to do differently, whether it's negotiating harder, rolling over old accounts, or just asking HR the tough questions. Your future self will thank you. The choice is still yours. But now you see the chain reaction clearly, and that changes everything.